lot of energy here today. I am thrilled. Oh, thank you. I am thrilled to be here to support your tireless champion for hardworking families, someone who has already demonstrated great grit and grace, who has made a mark in the Senate and is just getting started. I have to say, it is pretty exciting being here in Charlotte. I mean, it is true that I'm a new grandmother. A month tomorrow. I still have that grandmother glow, and Kay is about a year ahead of me. I met her adorable grandson, and she's about to have another grandchild. But I just can't tell you how much we love the name. And so, for me, it's a special pleasure to be here because when Kay mentioned what an extraordinary name my granddaughter has, and you all started cheering, I can't wait to put that in her baby book. There's really nothing better in the world, certainly based on my 1-month experience, and there's also nothing that gets your mind concentrated more about the future and what kind of life you want for this new precious child and what kind of country and world you want to help shape. So in 20 or 25 years, when she is entering adulthood or when Kay's grandson is entering adulthood, we know that the American dream is alive and well, and that the opportunities and the aspirations that we believe are part of the American experience will be there. And so for me, it's a special privilege to be here as we're 10 days away from this election on behalf of Kay's campaign. And also let me add Alma Adams, because we need more women like her in Congress. We need her compassion and her common sense. We need her sartorial excellence. She's going to shake things up. I think the Kay-Alma combination is really going to put North Carolina ahead of the parade. Now, I have followed this election from news accounts and from firsthand reports like the one my husband gave me when he was down here campaigning for Kay, and others who have been here as well. And I have to tell you, and I base this on everything I've heard, Kay Hagan has run the best campaign. She has been focused on behalf of the people of North Carolina. She has been fearless in standing up against the onslaught of out-of-state money and negativity that has come in after her. She has done a great job in the debates, drawing the contrast. She has done everything one could hope from a candidate for the United States Senate. She has demonstrated time and time again the attributes of character and intelligence that should make every person in this state proud to have her represent you. But you know, elections come down often to who's got more money, who's peddling more fear, and who turns out. And there is nothing more important for Kay than who turns out. And as you go out and get those 3 people that Kay asked you to get to go early vote by November 1st. I want you to think about that, because this election really comes down to a simple question. Who's on your side? Who has the values and the experience to create good, high-paying jobs and to make the economy work for everyone in North Carolina, not just a privileged few? And you know, what's so exciting about Kay is that you can always count on her to put North Carolina families first. You can always count on Kay to invest in education, not cut it and put our teachers and our students at risk. You can count on Kay to raise the minimum wage, not eliminate it. And you can count on Kay to defend your right to vote, not suppress it. Now, what's important, however, is whether Kay can count on you, whether Kay can count on you to show up to early vote, to show up on November 4th, to make sure she goes back to the United States Senate. And I have to say that I understand immigration is an important issue, and we appreciate that. We thank you for your advocacy. Make sure you get everybody out to vote for the kind of North Carolina and America you want. Now, I have to quickly add that in addition to all the other issues that Kay has fought for and been a champion of, women's issues are at the top of the priority list for Kay. And why is that? Well, because there is a concerted effort on the other side, led by her opponent, to take away the rights of women and to deny women equal rights, including equal pay for equal work. You know, it is quite amazing when you see what is being said by her opponent on some of these issues. And it does really bother me that anybody in 2014 would actually run to deprive women of our equal rights in our democracy, in our economy, in our society. That's why we need leaders like Kay Hagan, who has such a strong pro-family agenda. She knows what is worth investing in, and the other side either doesn't know or doesn't care. I'm not quite sure which it is. But you have to ask yourself, why did North Carolina vote in its legislature to underfund education by $500 million? Now, why would North Carolina lay off teachers and cut their pay when North Carolina was making so much progress? It was bipartisan progress over the last years. The North Carolina education system, from kindergarten to your research universities, was held up as an example of what could and should be done. So you have to ask yourself, why would a legislature led by Kay's opponent cut education funding? And you have to believe it is because either they don't care, or because they don't know, or because they were told to do that. They were told to do that by people who have a short-term view of what makes a state great, what gives opportunity to young people, and shame on them. Why would you subject kids to overcrowded classrooms, outdated textbooks, and fewer arts programs? That's not pro-family. That's not the kind of leadership North Carolina needs. When Kay Hagan wrote state budgets, teachers got a pay raise every single year. Kay understands that education has to begin early and that it lasts a lifetime. That to compete in this economy, our kids need great teachers and world-class schools. They need access to job training and apprenticeships, stronger community colleges, and more affordable universities. And that's what Kay's fighting for. That's why you're here so revved up, to try to make sure that you do everything you can for her to succeed. And you have to ask yourself, is it pro-family? Is it pro-North Carolina? To say that equal pay for women is just a campaign gimmick? You know, when I heard that, I thought I'd misheard. I mean, there's a subtle way to be discriminatory and insulting. But the fact that women in North Carolina still get paid less than men for the same work costs those women and their families thousands of dollars every year. Imagine what a working mom could do with the money she is owed. The better home she could rent or even buy. The car she could get repaired or even buy a new one. The groceries, the gas, planning for a secure retirement, planning in case somebody in the family has an emergency. This is not just a women's issue. This is a family's issue, a fairness issue, and an economic issue. Unless you're just living under a rock somewhere, or you're living surrounded by people who say the same things over and over to each other, you got to know that people are working hard. They're working hard in North Carolina. They're working hard to stay in the middle class, and they're working hard to get into the middle class. That's why Kay is fighting to raise the minimum wage. It will mean more money in the pockets of more than 1 million North Carolina workers. And that not only means that more women will have more money in their pocket, because the majority of minimum wage workers are women, it will mean that there are more consumers for North Carolina businesses and more financial security for North Carolina families. Now, the Republicans will tell you, because they do it every time, that raising the minimum wage will kill jobs. They always say that. Always. They get proven wrong every time. When my husband was president, he advocated for and signed a minimum wage increase. I voted for one because it actually lifts up people who are working hard, and it lifts people up further and further. Millions of new jobs are created. More people get into the middle class. That's what it means to be pro-family, and Kay understands that. That's why she's got a comprehensive plan for better jobs, better wages, and better schools. And I don't know, but I've been listening hard for what the Republican alternative is. And the best I can hear, because it's kind of faint, is a failed economic theory that will hurt middle-class families, more trickle-down economics, more divisive politics, tax cuts for companies that ship jobs overseas while you're left paying the freight. I keep listening, and you know it's not going to work. It hasn't been working. It will not work now. North Carolina has learned this lesson the hard way. And you know that old saying, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. In 10 days, North Carolinians have a clear choice to say, no more fooling with us. We're going in a different direction. We're going into the future together. So there's a lot at stake in this election. And from my vantage point, North Carolina has so much potential that it really is critically important that you do what you can to make sure Kay gets reelected. And I'm aware of the fact that there have been some efforts made to sort of discourage people from voting, maybe even intimidate. So you just have to do even more than you thought you were going to do. Those 3 people you take, the next day take 3 more. And you know, the kind of person we all have in our lives, maybe the curmudgeonly uncle or the sarcastic neighbor, when you say, hey, why don't you come vote with me? And he says, oh, you know, I don't want to encourage them. Not going to do that. Then I think you have to gently but persistently try to persuade. And if you are still unsuccessful, then you have to say, well, if you don't want to vote for Kay Hagan, vote for yourself. Vote for the kind of opportunities that will make your life better. Kay mentioned several of them. What, 500,000 people that could be helped by the extension of Medicaid? Schools, teachers, students being helped by making sure that education is well funded. Go down the list. If it still doesn't work, say, okay, then we're not listening to you when you complain about politicians, politics, or anything like that anymore. And reach out particularly to every single woman you know. Because women's rights are like the canary in the mine. If you don't protect women's rights here at home and around the world, everybody's rights are at risk. And there is a concerted effort right now to turn that clock back, isn't there? So you have to ask yourself, do you want a senator who will always defend a woman's right to make her own health care decisions? Who will never shame and judge a woman for decisions that are complex and deeply personal? Or do you want a senator who will push so-called personhood laws that would outlaw common forms of birth control and ban abortions, even in cases of rape and incest? Do you want a senator who will defend Planned Parenthood and applaud and bring people together to try to make sure that these rights are protected? Or do you want somebody who will try to defund Planned Parenthood and applaud the decision, so-called Hobby Lobby, to deny women health insurance coverage for contraception, tell them to just buy it over the counter regardless of the cost? Do you want a senator who would help insurance companies turn the clock back to the days when being a woman was labeled a pre-existing condition and women were charged more solely because of our gender? Well, that's the choice. I mean, this is not politics as usual. This is serious business about what kind of future North Carolina and America will have. And the other side is counting on people staying home, people being intimidated to stay home, people deciding that they're just too busy doing whatever else they have to do in their lives to get out and early vote or vote on November 4th. And you have to prove them wrong. that no matter how much money has flooded into this state, North Carolina is not for sale. So let me just end on a personal note, the note about my extraordinarily above average, wonderful, one-month-old granddaughter. I was thinking about how fortunate she is because she's got parents, grandparents, and an extended family that are going to do everything we possibly can do to make sure she has every opportunity she can imagine. Now, it'll be up to her to take advantage of that, to get a good education, to work hard, all the things we expect everybody to do. But it is important to imagine what kind of country and world will be waiting for her. And as I think about that, it brings me back to this race. Because we want leaders like Kay Hagan, who appeal to our hopes, not our fears, who believe with all their heart that dreams can come true, but everybody needs some help along the way. And that the American dream, which is the dream we all share, should be there for every single child. You should not have to be the grandchild of a senator or a secretary of state or a former president to be assured that that dream will be there for you. Every child across this state should be promised what is in that great recitation that Kay just gave, where people help the weak to grow strong and the strong to grow great. I'd never heard that before, but it really does sum up how we're all in this together, and we can do better with each other than pitting ourselves against one another, being riled up and upset with all of the negativity that comes from the other side. So please, don't wake up the day after the election wishing you had done more. Do everything you can now. Volunteer if you haven't already. Call, email, talk to anyone you can reach. Tell them early voting has started. Tell them to vote for their better future. Tell them to vote their hopes, not their fears. Tell them to vote their dreams. Tell them to vote for Kay Hagan for the United States Senate.